and I am born. Rise up, ting, ting, like glitter and gold. I got fire in my soul. Rise up, ting, ting, like glitter.
Hi, I am Rachel Leishman, and I am an actor, writer, and improviser here in Manhattan.
And I'm Lauren Milberger, and I'm an actor, writer, and former improver here in New York City.
And as that sounds so exciting, this is not anything to do with this actual podcast.
No, but we wanted to introduce ourselves.
Yeah, because this podcast is actually about Harrison Ford.
The Fordcast.
I also like that Lauren did this beautiful little thing with all of our information on it, and she wrote Mr. Harrison, no middle name, Ford.
He doesn't have a middle name. It's really quite curious.
Yeah, because who looks at a baby and's like,
no,
I know, Harrison.
You're too awesome for a middle name.
You're just going to be Harrison, so I'm not going to give you a middle name. Oh, lordy lord.
So if you haven't guessed already, our podcast is about Harrison Ford.
It's called, it's called The Fordcast.
Yes.
Because it's all about Harrison Ford.
And all about puns.
I don't like puns.
Rachel doesn't like puns, but can we also say who named the podcast?
Okay, I didn't realize it was a pun when I named the podcast.
She didn't
The Fordcast.
realize it was a pun.
I don't. I hate puns. The only pun I've ever liked is my best friend texted me one, and it said, "What do you call Harrison Ford making a Venn diagram?" And it's comparison Ford. And that's the only pun I have ever admitted to enjoying, and it's only because it has to do with Harrison Ford.
So I will try to add as many Harrison Ford puns as I can find.
If you have Harrison Ford puns,
yes,
I'll take those.
You should tweet us.
But yeah, so this is just. But Lauren and I talked about how there wasn't any podcast that really talked about his movies like we wanted to talk, and there wasn't really people who were like us who wanted to just sit around and talk about Harrison Ford movies.
Which we do a lot.
And actually our producer is my friend Marika, who has never seen a Harrison Ford movie in her life.
Because, ...
She don't like him.
She does not like Harrison Ford, and therefore this will be hilarity.
This is just part of my torture of Marika, because she doesn't like Harrison Ford, but I'm making her be a producer. She offered, but I'm making her produce a podcast about Harrison Ford.
Maybe our sub-directive here can be, by the end of the podcast, well, not the podcast, sorry, at the end of us going through all of his movies, which we will talk about later, we will make you a fan.
Either that, or she'll just be like, well, I have a lot of knowledge now.
She'll go
about Harrison Ford. But so what we're wanting to do is we want to do, as Lauren so witfully called it, the full Ford, which is watching all of his movies prior to the release of Star Wars Episode 8.
Which we hope has Harrison Ford in it.
Except right now he's in Vancouver hanging out with MC Hammer while they're filming it. So,
you
never
know. They're filming it for a pretty long time, and I guess we'll just go into it now. He's going to be in London in May filming another movie in which he's not the lead. In fact, I'm going to guess he has probably not a big part in it, but he has nothing scheduled until then, so he could come to London early and say he's filming this other movie when he's just gonna sneak into Pinewood.
He's just hanging out with Carrie Fisher.
I'm just saying that I will not believe he's not in it until I see the damn movie.
Until you see it and you're like, he is not in this.
Not in it. And I will go into that movie on December 15th, 2017, assured that he's in it.
Sorry. I mean, the thing is,
I'm in denial. Not denial of what happened, just that.
No, I'm in denial. There was a ship that caught him. He's fine. They flew him off. I have many theories about how my favorite characters, one of my favorite characters is alive, thriving, and well.
In an alternate universe?
No, just in the reality of Star Wars.
Okay.
Anyways.
That's true denial. I'm not that.
So yeah, what we want to do is we just want to kind of talk about different movies, because I have realized, looking at my little sheet of the movies
so
I
actually put together a sheet which we're going to put on the Tumblr for everyone to go, because we really want to encourage everybody to follow along with us, because I think that'll be fun. Obviously, there are going to be some movies that you have seen. There are movies that we actually have not even seen. And we'll let you know when, the week of when we'll be talking about it, and hopefully you can, follow along with us and, add to the conversation or be included in it.
And because looking at this sheet, I'm not Marika level. I have seen Harrison Ford movies in my life. But there are quite a few that I haven't seen. I've only
I
seen
think there's a few that a lot of people listening have probably never seen. And
17. I've only seen 17 Harrison Ford movies.
Okay, and I've seen 21. I can't believe that I beat you.
I know, you've seen 21, I've seen 17.
I really thought that you were going to beat
Well,
me.
because I've never seen, like, all the ones that people are like, well, those are the ones he's hot in. I, like, haven't seen them.
That's really shocking.
Yeah.
Considering your Twitter.
Considering my Twitter, it's shocking. However, here we are.
I'm embarrassed I've never seen Blade Runner.
He just says my name like 20 times in that movie. It's great.
And Witness.
And Witness. But that's like the
Never
Amish
says my
girl.
name.
He walks in and says, Rachel. And I like, I turned. Like, I wasn't paying attention. And he said, Rachel, and I like turned my head. And it was just
He
like,
was actually
when
talking
we,
to you.
yeah, and he was talking to the Amish girl. And he was just
Obviously,
like,
it's a
when
movie.
he said, Rachel, when we almost made love last night, I was like, what? And I like turned.
Which Rachel has now made her ringtone.
It's my ringtone. Just that. I wake up every morning like, good morning.
I wake up to Hamilton every morning.
How
Story
fitting.
for a whole other podcast.
How fitting.
Yes.
But yeah,
So welcome to the Fordcast. We are excited for the next 2 years and beyond.
oh yeah, it's 2 years of Harrison Ford movies. My lordy. It's gonna be an interesting little ride.
If we stay on schedule, which I'm committed to do because I think that's fun.
I'm committed to saying that my favorite Harrison Ford character will be the character from Anchorman 2.
Have you seen Anchorman 2?
No.
I haven't
So I'm
either.
just saying that
just saying
because I
that?
wanted
Did
to
you put
be
out
that
predictions?
person.
Okay.
I'm putting out, that's my prediction.
All right.
That Anchorman 2 or The Expendables 3. Oh my god, I didn't tell you this story.
What?
So Misery was open on Broadway and
Yeah.
it closed on February 14th. So my one friend wanted to go see the Star Wars exhibit with all the costumes that they have
Oh,
up
yeah,
here.
I wanna do
So
that.
she came to visit and we went to the Star Wars thing. But as we were going into the Star Wars thing, this whole crowd of people are over by Misery, and I like dawned on me like, oh, it's the last performance, and Bruce Willis was out on the street signing autographs, and so I stood across the street just yelling, I love the Expendables 3, Bruce. I love the Expendables 3. And some guy must sag me. He finally looks over and goes, yeah, I'm sure he loves that. I was just like, I'm sure he does. And it was just like one of those moments where
You're
I did
expressing
it.
your love for one of his movies.
I've never
That's
even
not
seen
Die
it.
Hard.
I haven't even seen it. I did it because I was like, Harrison Ford's in that movie, and I want to be that person who's annoying everyone over here, and just like was being rude, just to be rude. And then I went in the Star Wars exhibit.
That's hilarious. You were harassing.
I was harassing fans of Bruce Willis.
I was
about
going to
the
say Bruce
Expendables
Willis.
3.
You were harassing
Bruce
Bruce Willis.
I wasn't essentially harassing Bruce Willis.
Well, let's see. What character do I think I mean, obviously the characters that I already love are Han Solo.
They're off
and,
limits.
They're off. Oh, come on.
It's only the movies we've yet to see.
Yet to
This
see.
is the
Okay, I'm making.
prediction.
This is a really big guess. Okay.
Also the frittata scene in Morning Glory. That might be it. Just because people send me that scene alone with no other context
and I'm
to that
laughing
movie.
because I've seen Morning Glory.
I
And
have
shockingly,
not.
she has not seen Morning Glory. So this is all stuff that no one is getting if they've never seen it. Okay, so the character that I think that I'm going to like that I've never seen is got to be Deckard in Blade Runner. I mean, that's easy. Like, I got to pick like a second one maybe as a backup because that's like, it's kind of embarrassing. I've never seen it. I'm going to say maybe Random Hearts because I know it's like a romance and it's an age-appropriate love interest, and I really love that. I hate when they're younger than him. Like, really, really, not like Carrie Fisher younger than him, like younger than him. So I guess that would be my guess.
Okay. I might like Working Girl too, because there's that scene where he's changing his shirt in an office.
That's not really character development, but
That's
I see
fine.
your point.
I am all about this. Like, I am very specific on what movies I can see shirtless men in. I know Working Girl got me. I know Raiders got me.
Okay, but here's the real question. So which movie that you haven't seen are you most looking forward to?
Haven't seen? Okay. Either Working Girl
Okay.
or 42.
I
Because
am looking forward to 42 as well.
I was obsessed with Jackie Robinson growing up, and I didn't have time when that movie came out to go and see it because I was still in college. And I was so upset and no one would go with me. Because everyone else was like, why do you want to go see this movie? And I was like, because it's about Jackie Robinson and Harrison Ford's in it.
I'm a sucker for a period piece. I love stories about real people. I'm also a bit of a sucker for sort of the, sports metaphor-y triumph over stuff. I did this this thing, you know, kind of like, and I don't like sports, but God, do I love sports movies. I mean,
Gotta love a good Bull Durham.
Oh, Bull Durham is just a great movie. Like, I'm not even being sarcastic. It's an awesome movie.
But so what you said?
So the one that I'm most looking forward to, Blade Runner, obviously. I'm really actually looking forward to Hanover Street because I love World War II stuff. He looks really cute in the like jackety thing, and he's a pilot. Mosquito Coast because I'm a huge Helen Mirren fan. I had no idea they were in a movie together. I had no idea. So I really think that's going to be interesting. And here's something that's odd. I actually have one that I'm most curious about, which is Canine Widowmaker, because I watched the trailer last night because I realized I had no idea what it was about. I thought it was...
Is it about a dog that kills people
I
so
thought
that
it was
they're a widow because he kills the significant other?
But
of the
it's
other
funny.
person?
I thought it was about, like, climbing a mountain.
What?
So we're both wrong.
What would give you that when it says Canine Widowmaker?
But isn't, like, canine, like...
Canine's a dog.
I understand that, but isn't it also, like, some weird, like, peak that, like, you can go up to the top and, like...
Canine is a police dog.
I know that it is, but it's not about that either, so we're both wrong. It's
a misleading title.
It's very... See, exactly, and the poster doesn't give it away. He plays a Russian submarine captain.
Wait, okay, so does anyone's wife or husband die in this movie?
No, which is shocking for something that I
just want someone to be a
I'm
widow.
sure they're all married, you know, like, but he does a Russian accent in it, and I was like, ooh, this is very different. It's like a very slight... Liam Neeson's in it, who's not doing a Russian accent, but he is, and
Is he gonna find you and kill you?
I'm very confused by the trailer if we're supposed to root for these people or not.
Well,
because
we shall see.
They're Russian, and it's not the 80s, but still... I am sort of been brought up to think that, you know, Russians are the evil people in movies. That and Nazis, which we have learned from Indiana Jones.
Well, yeah. The Nazis are all... Without fail, if it's a Nazi movie, you should hate them.
I should clarify. I'm not saying that I didn't think they were bad people before I said
She's Jewish. It's okay. Clearly.
Oh, should we remark? Not only am I Jewish, but we together make up the makeup of Harrison Ford.
Oh, yeah, because I'm Scottish and Irish and Italian, but he's not Italian, but I just had to throw that bit in there.
Pretty sure that my great-great-grandparents are from a town about 2 hours from his grandparents in Belarus.
That's strange that you know that.
It was an accident. It was actually an accident. I was looking up. I'm very interested in my ethnicity, and I recently did a DNA test, and I've been looking up towns, and it happened. That came up. That it was like I was looking at the names of towns, and I was like, oh, Harrison Ford's family is from Belarus. Where? Oh, look. That's gone down a really bad hole.
On that, we're going to go to the next part of our podcast.
Things can't be seen, confined within the dream. From where we end to where do I begin?
So we thought that since this podcast is not going to be talking about one of his movies, we're just, sort of introducing ourselves to you and the podcast and get things going, that we're going to talk about how we were introduced to Harrison Ford.
Yes, mine is very, very... I don't think it's interesting because I tell this story a lot.
I love your story, though.
But people think it's funny.
I do.
It's
also adorable.
I was 6, and the movie Air Force One came out in 1997. And my mom, I have two my brothers and I are all 10 years, 5 months apart. So there's one that's 20 years older than me, one that's 10, and then me. And so my mom, none of my brothers could babysit me. My mom didn't want to pay somebody. So she just took me when
and your mother was a huge fan of Harrison Ford.
Yeah, my mom's a big Harrison Ford fan. But my mom and my dad wanted to see Air Force One, so they just took me with them. And so we were at the theater, and I sat through all of Air Force One. And if you're an adult and you see Harrison Ford One,
that's fantastic.
Air Force One, and if you see that movie as an adult, it is not for small children. The plane,
no,
they're trying to hijack it.
Get off my plane.
Yeah, it's not for but it's not for children yet. My mother said sure, and so came out of that movie, and the next week I kept talking about the president, and so my middle brother, who's 10 years older than me, finally asked my mom, why is she obsessed with Bill Clinton? And so my mom had to be she's not obsessed with Bill Clinton. She's obsessed with Harrison Ford. We saw Air Force One, which my brother responded with, why would you show that to her as her first Harrison Ford movie? And my mom was like, I don't understand. And he got so mad. So he sat me down and showed me all 3 of the original trilogy of Star Wars. And then he showed me Indiana Jones. Again, movies that 6-year-olds probably shouldn't watch.
6-year-olds watch them all the
But
freaking time.
yeah, but a 6-year-old shouldn't watch Raiders of
6
the Lost
to 8
Ark.
is when everyone says that they've seen Indiana Jones.
Which is so strange to me. So strange to me. I mean, it applies to me, but that's
I
just
saw Witness
so weird.
when I was 10. We'll talk about that later.
Well, then Lauren wanted me to tell this story.
I love the story.
Because then I went to Disney World when I was 8, and they have the Indiana Jones show. And you get to, you get to see, like, the stunts and stuff from Indiana Jones. And so we were there, and I, for some godforsaken reason, thought that Harrison Ford was going to be there performing the show. And so when at the end of the show, like, you can meet the cast member, and, like, they come out, and I was so angry because I thought it was going to be Harrison Ford. And my older brother was like, well, why would you think Harrison Ford would be here to, like, perform an Indiana Jones show? Like, he's a movie star. And I was 8. I was like, I don't know, I just figured he'd be here.
I think any 8-year-old would think that.
Yeah, and so
not explained to them
the
properly.
moral of this story is don't have older brothers who ruin the joys of your life by showing you the reality of situations.
Well, it was ruined when the man was not Harrison Ford.
Yeah, it was ruined when the actor walked out.
Yeah.
And I was like, you're not Harrison Ford.
Which is pretty much like a daily thing. And when people aren't Harrison Ford, you're very
I'm
disappointed.
like, excuse me, sir, in front of me in coffee. You're not Harrison Ford. I need you to get out of my way.
Scarred for life.
Scarred for life. But yeah, so that was that little bit. And then, okay, so then my brother who showed me all these movies, he has the Ark of the Covenant. And so one, like from Indiana Jones, and one night my mom...
As you do have the Ark of the Covenant.
He just has the Ark
in
of
your
the
house. Yeah.
But, and so one night my mom was like away on a business trip. She got home, and like on her way home from the airport, my brother runs downstairs with it in his hands, and he's like, you wanna mess with mom? And I was like, what? And so I look, and he gets on the counter in our kitchen, because we had these like higher up shelves, and so he puts it up on top of these shelves. My mom is like 5'3". There's no way she could have seen it when she walked in the door. So he put it up there and was like, let's see how long it takes for mom to realize that's up there. She opened the front door, and the first thing out of her mouth is, what is that on top of my counter? And we were like, what are you talking about? She's like, that gold thing that you put on top of the counter. What is that? And me and my brother were like, are you serious? Like, you're like, how could you see that? And so instead of taking it down, she went, whatever, I don't care that it's up there. So it like stayed in our kitchen forever. And so the only people who would notice it was there were like Indiana Jones fans. Everyone else was like, thought it was some weird decoration my mom put up in the kitchen. But me and my brother were like, got one over on everybody.
So how long was the Ark of the Covenant in your kitchen?
Ooh, he
That's
put
the
it up
tagline, by the way.
he put it up my junior year of high school, and then she just moved out last year. So it was there for like 6 years.
I just love the fact that I can say, how long was the Ark of the Covenant
Coming in your kitchen? Yeah, it was like 6 years.
That's a lot.
Mm-hmm. And then there was a Lego Millennium Falcon, and my mom makes our house is so beautiful. And then you walk into mine and my brother's bedrooms, and it's like, what happened? And that's my family.
Okay. My family's not as colorful. I did not grow up with the Ark of the Covenant in my kitchen, although my dad is a furniture salesman, so I would come home sometimes and go, what happened to the table? Oh, your father sold it.
He just sold the table.
Just sold the table. Oh, okay. We'll get another one. Don't worry. We'll take it off the floor. So my story happened a couple years before.
A couple years before, just slightly before.
Just slightly before. Where for some reason, and it's funny because getting ready for this podcast, I was trying to figure out, was I 6 or was I 8? And I honestly can't remember. In fact, I thought I had seen a Star Wars movie in the theater, and then I did the math recently and was like, oh, there's no way that's possible. Why did you think? So I don't really know exactly. So let's say between like 6 and 8, the second movies and the third movies of Indiana Jones and Star Wars were always on cable. So I actually saw Jedi and Return of the Jedi before I saw New Hope.
You mean Empire and...
Empire, sorry, what did I say?
Jedi and Jedi.
I did. So I saw Jedi and Empire before I saw New Hope, so I was very confused when it was very obvious that they were making Princess Leia Luke's love interest, and then it was weird, and I'm even kind of wondering if I saw Jedi even before I saw Empire, even though I've seen Empire the most. But anyway, so Empire and Jedi, and particularly Temple of Doom, were on TV all the time. So it wasn't necessarily just about Han Solo, it was about Harrison Ford. I grew up with mostly all boys. My cousin is exactly to the day 9 months younger than me. So, my aunt and uncle were like, oh, look, my sister had a kid. Let's have one too. On the exact day. My next door neighbor, we used to play, I was always the girl. We would play Indiana Jones. My brother was Short Round. He would always be in Indiana Jones. So it was like all sort of about that. And when Crusade came out, I had a huge poster in my room of the movie, like right above my bed. And I didn't really have posters in my room. I had like pictures of magazines of, and not even just, young men. It was usually women over 35. Because they were awesome, and then movies, and then this big thing. I had like an 8x10 of Indiana Jones I got at like Universal Studios. And so I always used to call him my first crush, even though I had no concept, I think, at that age of what exactly that was. It sort of became a thing about Harrison Ford, and that's probably why I've seen a lot of Harrison Ford movies. I mean, there was a while when I would, if he was in it was like, oh, I'm going to see this movie at some point. Mm-hmm. Particularly when I was younger, my mother would take us to the movies a lot every time it rained. So he's been like a really big sort of influence in my life. And I think he's a really great actor. I think that sometimes he is underrated.
Yeah, he has mastered the act of pointing angrily at people.
Yeah, he should teach a class on
You should teach a class on when you're angry how to point.
Where's my wife? And stay away from my family!
Or that scene in Witness where they all just started screaming at the same point. Oh. Like everyone just yelling.
Which we'll talk about when we get to Witness.
It drove
which
me
is a great movie.
Nuts. Oh, it made me so mad. They all just yelled over each other. I was like, that's not acting. That's all just screaming.
He's in a lot of really good movies. Like, it's not like...
No, he's a great actor, and he literally is considered one of the best actors of our generation. Or, like, not our generation, but, like, of all time.
There are two different kinds of actors. And I hope that this is not going to be construed as me putting him down, because I, again, think he's a wonderful actor. There are transitional actors, like someone like Kevin Spacey. And then there are actors, they say, and I'm using air quotes, play themselves. Mm-hmm. Which, to an extent, yes, but no. He's not playing himself, and there is a difference between Han Solo and Indiana Jones as much as there is a difference between Henry and regarding Henry. And I think I appreciated that more when I saw The Force Awakens, certain things that he was doing that I was like, oh, that's very Han Solo-y.
Oh, yeah.
Whereas some people said, oh, that's Harrison Ford. I was like, no.
The thing
it's
is...
not. It's actually Han Solo-y.
He said it time and time again about Han Solo, is that... people think that he's saying that Han Solo is two-dimensional, but that's not what he's saying at all. He's saying there are three dimensions of that character. There's what he says, what he thinks, and then the third dimension is Harrison Ford himself. Because he's like, that character is just those two dimensions when you look at him on paper, and the third dimension is what he brings to the character.
Yes.
And it is very much him. He's a pilot who's a hermit who hates people.
Has a certain sense of humor.
Yeah.
The way he reacts to things. Yes, and that's what makes the difference. But it doesn't mean that he's not a wonderful actor. There's just a difference. He's a different kind of actor, I would say. And that's always what I've heard is that, there's, and I hate to say the word playing yourself, but it's, it's a little bit more sort of front, which is why I am very curious to see him do his Russian accent. Because that's very different than what people have sort of let him do in the past.
Oh, yeah, definitely.
Yeah.
But when we come back, we'll just talk more about, Harrison here.
Really? Is that really what we're going to keep doing?
We're going to keep talking about Harrison.
Wow, that's shocking. I'm just shocked.
I got 99 problems and a bitch ain't one. 99 problems, but a bitch ain't one.
Alright, so for this next part, we're going to talk about our favorite, Harrison Ford stories, or just... This will kind of be in every episode thing, but this one is just more like whatever story we really like that we heard about Harrison Ford, or moment we had about it.
And when we watch the movies, we'll probably talk about our favorite stories about him and his career that pertains to the actual movie.
This is more of a free-for-all.
Yeah, since it's our first one.
And so with mine, I have a couple, but one of them is he shares a birthday with my mother. And so my favorite thing to do on July 13th is to write up a really snappy, nice post. Like, not use any, like, he or she or anything. Just, like, make it seem like I'm just so happy that this person is in my life. And then I always put at the bottom, happy birthday, Harrison Ford, and I guess mom. And my mom gets so mad because my mom's just kind of like, people are going to think you hate me. And I'm like, no, you know I love you, and you know it's just me being me. And so I do it every year. But last year in March, when he crashed his plane, I had just flown to Florida, and I was going to Disney World, and then I found out he crashed his plane, and I started freaking out. And my mother was like, oh my God, what's wrong? Who got hurt? And I just went, Harrison Ford. And she was like screaming at me at my brother-in-law's house. Like, she's just in the living room going, Bachow! And she's like yelling at me because I flipped out because I thought Harrison Ford died.
It looked really bad. Like,
yeah, I thought he died. And so I was so worried. And I was like, okay. And then, like, I looked it up and, like, literally told the whole house, no worries, guys. He's fine. He just banged up, but he's fine. And no one else cared but me. Like, I was having an emotional trauma at this house. And it was just like, ugh. But, because it segues into yours, he also, that was the second time he broke his leg last year because it was a falcon, too.
yes, which, I mean, I'm not going to tell a story about him breaking his leg on the falcon, although it's pretty crazy. But I think people who are listening to this are big enough fans to know that within a year, he broke his both legs, one in a plane crash and one where the actual Millennium Falcon fell on him. So this is not necessarily my favorite story, but it's my favorite recent story that is not necessarily connected to anything specific, but it is the Millennium Falcon. And I think this is one of my favorite stories recently because people will talk about, oh, he doesn't like Han Solo, all this stuff. He's only doing it for the money. I think that the money is a really nice perk, and I'm sure that he would not say no to it, and maybe it's part of it. But this sort of, to me, I think shows sort of his love and his dedication to acting and to realism and to the Millennium Falcon. So there is a guy named Darren Guilford, and he was interviewed in American Cinematographer, sort of about the production of The Force Awakens. And what part of his job, among many people, was actually building the Falcon that crushed Harrison's leg. But we won't talk about that. That was an accident. Although I guess we shouldn't talk about it until the
Force
trial.
Awakens.
The trial.
Oh, or the trial, yeah.
Yeah, but that's not the story.
Because he's suing.
He's not suing. The company's being sued in England, and we won't talk about that. But anyway, so Darren he comes home for Christmas holiday, and he's at this sports place, and he's gonna buy some stuff, and he just kind of runs in really quickly, and he happens to see that, oh my God, there's Harrison Ford is here. He says Harrison Ford notices him, kind of puts his head down. Obviously, doesn't want to be bothered. And he's like, oh, should I talk to him? Should I say anything? And he finally decides, you know what, I'm going to say something. Harrison, it's nice to meet you. I just want you to know that I'm come over from London, and I'm building the Millennium Falcon. He's the co-production designer on the new Star Wars. And Harrison, of course, is extremely excited to see him, and this is not someone who's bothering him, and they have a lovely conversation. And then as he's walking away, he goes, Darren. He calls him back, and Darren turns around and goes, what? And he goes, toggle switches. To which Darren goes, toggle switches? Just like great dialogue. and Harrison tells him, every time I would throw down a toggle switch, it would fly back because it was so cheap, and it drove me crazy. Please make sure the toggle switches are fixed this time. And Darren goes, no problem. I'll take care of it. So months go by, and they're back in London, and they're getting really close to filming, and he gets a call that JJ and Harrison are actually coming down to sit in the cockpit and try out the Falcon and see it for the first time. And he just talks about how giddy they both were and how much fun they were having. And then he sees Harrison, look up, and he starts throwing all the toggle switches, and then boom, 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 and just like laughing because they're not, falling back. And he's like, oh, okay, yeah, I did it. And that's his favorite story. And that's kind of my favorite story because it just sort of, I think, shows, sort of the love that we all share for the Millennium Falcon.
The Falcon. I tried to win a stuffed falcon last night wearing a Han Solo t-shirt.
Oh, is that why you were wearing it?
No, I wasn't wearing it to win the Falcon. I just happened to go bowling after my improv show. And while bowling, they had a game that had stuff. My friend was like, "Oh, look, it's a stuffed Death Star." And so we walked over and like, "Oh, they have X-wings, they have this," and we were looking at all
Oh,
of
this
them.
was like you could literally
It was
win
like an arcade, yeah,
like
you could
in
win it.
person. Oh, wow.
And so we're looking at the machine like, "Oh, it's like they're intermixed with Minions." So I was annoyed. And then I look and I went, "There's a Falcon." And like my one friend goes, "There's no birds in there." I'm like, "No, it's like the Falcon."
Wait,
like
so
the
it's
Millennium
was it a
Falcon.
claw?
Yeah, it was a
Oh,
claw
the
game.
claw.
And I was like, "No, it's the Millennium Falcon." And so I put the money in, and then the game was broken. And so I went up to the guy and I was like, "Look, it ate my money." He goes, "Oh, it's broken. Sorry, someone took the sign." I was like, "That's fine. Can I just get the Millennium Falcon toy?" Anyway, when I was like, can you, instead of giving me the $1.50, just open the case and hand me the Millennium Falcon? And like, I didn't realize how weird it was until like, I was like, I'm in a shirt that just straight up is a picture of Han Solo. And I'm like, "Can I please have the Falcon? Can you please just give me the Falcon?" And he like, I mean, kudos to me because he's like flirting with me. I'm like, "I'll see what I can do." I'm like, "No, you don't understand the level of like nerdiness that this is happening right now."
I don't understand why you didn't just pull out all the flirting stops to get the Millennium Falcon.
Because it was up to his like manager, and his manager was like, "I can't do that." And I was like, "But it's the Falcon. Can you just get it for me?" And he wouldn't do it. But that is not my favorite Harrison Ford story. And my favorite Harrison Ford story doesn't even have to really do with Harrison Ford. It's just been happening to me for like a month, and I think it's so funny. So I've been starting this trend where on Twitter, I like, for a while, I think it happened like right after Carrie Fisher followed me on Twitter. But
I love how she buries the lead there.
yeah, Carrie Fisher followed me on Twitter, but I'm pretending it's not a big deal.
It's not a big deal.
But she like followed me one night, and it was so funny because I had such a terrible day, and I get off the subway, and she had been tweeting right before, and I like tweeted some stupid thing. I think I tweeted her like my cell phone background. And it was like, and it was a picture of Harrison Ford, and I was like, "Hey, you like this? Or A, do you like this? B, will you follow me?" And she liked it, and then she followed me, and so I was just like, "Yes."
Oh, you asked her to follow you. Oh, that's interesting.
But I was bored. It was just like one of those where I did it, and like, because
but
she has 80 million people asking her to do that, and they're all
Exactly.
crazy fans, and there was me who I like sent one tweet and got a follow.
Well, you post stuff she likes.
Yeah, and so this trend that we had been doing was I started doing this "Which One Is Me?" where I imitate pictures of Harrison Ford
Which is how I
badly.
found you.
Yeah, but like I do it badly.
That's
it's
why
not
it's
like
funny.
a normal one. Yeah,
That's
like
why it's funny.
the very first one I ever posted that Carrie Fisher retweeted, which I was like, man, I was gonna delete it, was the picture from Working Girl where he just wakes up and he's like shirtless with a sheet around him. And then I took a picture of myself without my glasses or contacts, and so I have a lazy eye, so my eye was turning in the wrong direction. My hair was a mess. I was still in bed, like hadn't moved from my bed, and took a picture with the flash on in my bed with the blanket up like to my nose and said, "Which one is me?" And she retweeted it. And so I was like, no, now I can't delete it. And so then ever since then, I kept doing it. And like she's
It's really funny.
I've
And
done like 12, I think. She's liked 3 of them, 4 of them, or something like that.
It's really funny, and in the fact that you are doing it like slightly badly shows that you have a sense of humor about it. And
I'm
that's
like not doing it to be serious.
exactly, and I think that Carrie, having an amazing sense of humor, she's one of my comedic writing idols, gets that.
Yeah. I'm pretty sure, like, because there's so many people who, like, everything is like, Carrie's my mom, Carrie's this on Twitter. And I'm not saying that's bad or anything. Like, they're all very nice. Most of them are girls. And, like, some of them started following me
really
because
wonderful.
of it. And they're so sweet. And they really look up to her. And I, like, kudos to Carrie for being that image for people. But
Exactly.
I think she sees my Twitter as being, like, one of the ones that she follows and is just, like, idiot. Like, dumb thing after dumb thing. And it's just like, I tweet things and I think they're funny, and then I'm like, I should delete that. And every time I think I should delete that is like when she's like, and I'm like, that is going to be the one that's immortalized forever now.
Well, apparently, sometimes celebrities actually have like Twitter. I almost said titter. Oh my God. Celebrities have Twitter training, at least particularly with the networks. And I'm a big fan of Allison Janney. And one of the things that they taught her was just retweet a lot of stuff. Like, if you don't know what to do,
Well, some of them
just
don't
retweet
even
a lot
run
of
their
stuff.
own.
That's true. Some of them don't.
But
some
Carrie's is such a mess.
It's very obviously that she runs
It's
it.
very obvious. Her and Steven Tyler's, theirs are such a mess that it's so obvious. Where it's like very obvious that George Takei does not. He doesn't.
George Takei is, I mean, if we're going to go off on this tangent, he's become larger than that anyway, so I'm not surprised.
No, but he doesn't run his because my friend Sam does. Sorry, guys. Sorry, Sam.
Spoiler.
But, like, he has a company that does his. So, like...
I'm not surprised. He's
No.
too big.
But, like, and there are some people that you're like Mark Hamill, he's interesting. I don't know if he does or not. But there are very...
I think he does because he posts stuff about his family.
Yeah, there's very... Yeah, and his
daughter
kids
tags,
will... Yeah,
like tag him in it. So
where it's like some, it's like very obvious that they don't run theirs. And then there's others where it's like, okay...
Which is fine. It's
But
a
then,
business.
like, Raven...
I have no problem with that.
Raven Simone did a show at UCB and admitted she doesn't even run her own. Which I thought was weird because she's young. But, like, that's
a
off the
marketing
point.
tour. I have
but
no problem.
Carrie Fisher's is such a mess with her emojis. And she, like... Oh,
I
Carrie.
get so frustrated when I can't read them.
There
which
are
is most of the
websites.
time.
There are websites literally dedicated to translating her tweets.
I'm dyslexic, so like it's just like, oh my God, Carrie, this is gonna. I love you, but I feel so inadequate. Although when I get them, I'm so proud of myself.
Oh, I don't even try. I just wait until I watch the thing.
Oh, okay. You have to show it to me.
We're gonna take a break, and
Yeah,
we're
then we're gonna have some
back.
Harrison Ford news.
Yes.
It's finally news.
All we do is drive. All we do is think about the feelings that we hide. All we do is sit in silence, waiting for a sign. Sick and full of pride. All we do is drive.
All right, so we actually have some Harrison Ford news, which probably, a couple months ago you might say was not a thing. I think the most exciting is probably the news that you have about Blade Runner.
Yes, I get the news about Blade Runner because I'm the only one in this room who has seen Blade Runner. But they are finally making the sequel to Blade Runner. And as confused as Lauren was when I was telling her this news, Ridley Scott is alive and well.
Oh, did you have to tell everybody
I had to tell.
that? I got confused. Wrong.
She thought Todd Scott and Ridley Scott were the same human being.
I did.
And so she said, hasn't he been dead? And I went, no, he just made Prometheus like a couple years ago.
Yeah.
And then I was like,
And
and he's making this. And she was just like, I thought he was dead. Like, he's fine.
And
But
I'm usually good at this stuff. Like, I'm the one that people go, if Lauren doesn't know it, that's crazy. I mean, I had a boss who used to call me Wikipedia. Like, it's embarrassing that I thought this.
She said it, and I just looked at her. And
I
I was
know.
like, no, he's fine.
And
like,
then
Ridley Scott is...
He's okay.
I think he's fine. Like, he's probably healthy and just kicking it with all his money.
He is. So 2
He's
days later,
rolling in it.
I send Rachel a text that I go, oh, yeah, his brother's dead. That's
His brother. I was like, all right.
sorry.
But they have announced that Ridley Scott's Blade Runner will finally have a sequel in January of 2018.
Well, that's when it's coming out.
Yes.
So we have time.
So we have so much time to watch Blade Runner, guys. It's like a
But they're
2-hour movie.
But there's, I meant the actual sequel. We don't have to fit into our damn schedule. He's going to be filming that.
Yes, he is. He's actually going to reprise his role as Rick. And so I'm really excited about it. I like Ryan Gosling, but I wish it was Ryan Reynolds.
Well, we're happy that
If we're
actors are getting
picking
jobs.
Ryans,
I don't think it was about that.
if we're picking Ryans, I wanted it to be Ryan Reynolds.
Okay.
But I will take Gosling. I saw Gosling a couple of times on accident.
Is he stalking you?
No, my one friend, we were in Times Square. She thought it was Jake Gyllenhaal. She goes,
No.
Jake Gyllenhaal walked past me, and we were like, where? And we showed her, and she was like, no, I'm pretty sure it's Jake Gyllenhaal. So we showed her a picture, and she said, not that guy. And then she pulled up a picture of Ryan. She said the guy from The Notebook. And me and my friend were like, that's Ryan Gosling. They don't even look alike. And so then we made fun of her. And then the one night, I was walking to meet my friend, and I was walking down the street. And all of a sudden, I hear this guy walks past me. I wasn't paying attention. And I hear these 2 kids who were in front of me stop, turn around, and run back. And as they're running back, I hear them go, oh my God, I can't believe Ryan Gosling walked past us. And I'm standing there like, are you kidding me? That's the second time he's just walked past me, and I have not noticed that it was Ryan Gosling. So I'm either destined to just work with him one day or never, ever recognize when Ryan Gosling is near me.
I like the first one because I keep running into Steve Martin, who's a hero of mine, so I would love to say that means that we're destined to work together. But I joke that Steve Martin is stalking me, obviously. Jokingly.
Jokingly, Steve Martin.
Yeah.
Stop.
Because I always run into him. Twice was a book signing. Those, I guess, maybe don't count. But, at my job, at the theater, on the street, riding a bike,
That was me and Kevin Nealon. I have no
We're so tangenting in
no
this news
preference. Giving you, but yes. Anyways, back to
section. Yeah,
the
let's
news.
do like a little pause for editing. And so Blade Runner is going to be starting filming in July. In,
in Los
come
Angeles.
out in Martin Luther King weekend in 2018.
Yes, and it's really exciting because for a while they had talked about it. They talked about it like since the movie came out.
Yeah.
But and that was in 1982. But they like talked about it for a really, really, really long time, and then they finally like concreted that they were gonna do it. They committed to it, and then a lot of people were like, "Well, obviously Harrison Ford's not gonna play Rick. Like, what's gonna happen?" And then they
But he'd been talking about it for a while.
Yeah, but then they announced he is gonna play Rick.
Yeah,
and
which says a lot.
which says a lot
Which
because
we'll talk about when we get to the movie.
yeah, because he has a shirt that says, "Yes, I'm Han Solo, Indiana Jones, and Blade Runner."
No,
Get
that's
over
not
it."
real.
It is real.
It's not real, honey. That's Photoshop.
His shirt is.
It's very famous. They also do it to Ian McKellen. It's a Photoshop thing.
I thought that was real.
It's not real.
You learn something every day because I thought, well, first of all, I thought he wouldn't wear a shirt that says his name is Blade Runner.
That's the thing. One, he would not wear a shirt like that, and two, it's yeah.
Because his name's not Blade Runner, it's Rick Deckard.
Yeah, it's a Photoshop thing that they do to
Good.
people
Well,
like
whoever
that.
photoshopped that, his name is not Blade Runner. He's part of a Blade Runner unit. Well, he's not even part of a Blade Runner unit anymore. He was. And his name is Rick Deckard. Get it right, Photoshoppies.
Yeah, we'll be on your ass for all that stuff.
I will come and find you and make you write Rick Deckard instead of Blade Runner.
So
And that's my problem with it.
and this is why it was perfect for you to co-host this podcast.
So I can get angry with the people who don't put Rick.
And I will bring you down to earth. So I'm excited to talk about a movie called Official Secrets, which is going to be filming in London in May. What could that mean? Harrison Ford will be in London in May. He could perhaps go to Pinewood and film a
Harry
small
Potter.
part in...
Harry Potter.
Not Harry Potter, in Star Wars. Maybe. I'm just saying he's not doing anything right now. He's not, and he just happens to be doing 2 back-to-back movies. I'm just saying. But anyway, I'm also, to be serious, very excited about this movie because some of my favorite Harrison Ford movies, or even just movies in general, kind of from the 80s, are these sort of really interesting political thrillers or thrillers in general. And he hasn't really been doing these kind of movies for a while. As he gotten older, maybe becoming more of sort of a co-star, and now because of The Force Awakens, people are remembering, oh yeah, Harrison Ford is good. Oh yeah, Harrison Ford makes a lot of money, brings people in. We should put him in our movie. So what's also interesting is it's based on a true story. It's going to be starring Anthony Hopkins, as well as Paul Bettany, Natalie Dormer, who I love, Martin Friedman, who we all love. And it is taking place in 2003. It's about a UK story set before the Iraq War. Dormer plays a British intelligence officer. Bettany plays a British newspaper reporter. And her character, based on a real woman, had a secret illegal NSA spy operation against the UN Security Council designed to ensure passage of a resolution for war. And she was arrested following leaks made and headlines to this particular reporter. So what's also interesting is that I love a good political thriller, but I also really, really love journalist stuff. And that tends to not happen anymore. I love Spotlight, sort of interesting things. So that is actually what it's going to be about. Supposedly, Hopkins plays a retired UK general and Ford plays a CIA agent. And as I mentioned at the top, it does not seem like he has a very large role or is the lead of this movie, which makes for him to be able to sneak into the Star Wars set.
Just sneak in. He's just sneaking in. He'll be in the background of scenes. He's not really there.
Yeah, so we're going to be having a little segment when we can called Solo Watch, as I'm calling it. Solo Watch! And my delusions that Harrison Ford will be in episode 8. Or maybe 9, we don't know. But that is one of my, big reasons he's going to be in London. He could do it. Also, as of recording this Sunday, we'll talk about it next time because it will have aired by the time this actually gets out. He is in the Wonderful World of Disney's 60th anniversary.
No, and I'm not going to be able to go or to see it Because I'm in class all night.
Who watches stuff live?
Me. I want pictures. I need information.
I will get pictures for you, but I'll probably watch them on Hulu the next day. I'm just saying.
If it's going to be on Hulu, I don't know when I can watch it.
Okay, I will screen cap it for you.
Okay, screen cap it. Send it to me so I
I'll
can
send it
see.
to you, yes. So my question is that we're all sort of shocked in Harrison Ford land that, as much as we love Harrison Ford, shilling for Disney does not sound like something he would do unless he was under contract. Just saying.
True.
Just saying.
Very, very true.
Yeah, so we'll put it out there. We'll put a poll out, see what you guys think. But I will be under this delusion until I see the movie.
Until next 2 Decembers.
Yes, 2 Decembers after we've watched all of his movies. And so next we're gonna just sort of talk about what we're gonna watch next and what you guys should prepare for our next podcast.
I'm giving you a night call to tell you how I feel. I want to drive you through the night, down the hills.
So before we say goodbye, we're just going to recap. So as we mentioned, we're doing something that I call the full Ford. We are going to attempt to watch all of Harrison Ford's movies. Oh God, I can't speak. I'm starting over. So before we say goodbye, just want to recap that we are going to be in the next 2 years doing something I'm calling the full Ford, in which we watch all of Harrison Ford's movies from now up until the next Star Wars movie comes out, because that seemed to fit very nicely. We're doing a couple of doubling up, only twice. Once for next podcast, and then another time in 2017, because I refuse to watch Hollywood Homicide again. I refuse.
I just watched it, so that'll be fun.
Yeah.
To rewatch that movie.
In 2017.
Oh, maybe he'll have a new job, and it's the third time I watch it.
No, he's always going to be
The police
selling
officer
houses.
with a real estate license and a massage parlor, and how many other jobs he had in that movie.
Yeah. And also we're doubling up next week because I forgot that he was in a Candice Bergen movie in 1970, which will have the debate, scar or no scar. I think he doesn't have the scar in this movie. You think he does?
I think he has this chin scar.
I think that, yeah, well, that scar, yeah.
Well, when you just say scar, I think of the Lion King. So I'm like, you gotta chin scar. Chin scar helps my brain.
I will now refer it for chin scar.
Not sing songs.
So Getting Straight, you can get on Amazon, YouTube. You can get it anywhere you want. It's from 1970. He did have his car crash that got him the chin scar, I believe, in 1969, which he probably filmed this in 1969. So it could be covered with makeup. I'm not sure, but we'll discuss that.
We'll discuss the chin scar.
It's going to be interesting watching Getting Straight because it's very much a movie of its time. It has Elliot Gould in it, who was a very big star at the time.
Mm-hmm.
Candice Bergen, considered one of the great beauties of that era as well. I am a big fan of Candice Bergen, so that'll be interesting for me because it's hard for me to watch movies before Murphy Brown. We'll talk about that later. And American Graffiti, which is what people think of as his first movie, which is why I didn't realize. And that's 1973, and that's George Lucas. That also can be found on Amazon, YouTube. It's not on Netflix, unfortunately.
It used to be.
Yeah, I know.
That's how I first saw it.
Yeah, it is if you have the DVD plan. Most movies we're watching are going to be about $2.99. You know, if you guys can't find it any other way, so it's not going to be an expensive way of spending your time. But I am very excited to talk about these two movies. It'll also be very interesting because it really sort of defines, or American Graffiti kind of defines who he sort of became as a movie star, even before, I think, Star Wars. And he's very different in Getting Straight.
I've not seen anything from it, so I'm very interested.
I've just seen some clips. So it's going to be interesting to talk about kind of the two different Harrison Fords and what kind of changed between those years.
How are you feeling there, Marika? How excited are you about
American Graffiti?
So thrilled.
You're so thrilled.
Yeah.
So thrilled.
You're
gonna
know who's
love
in it?
Harrison Ford.
And Laverne. No, Shirley. Sorry. Shirley from Laverne and Shirley.
Oh, I was just on the Harrison Ford train.
I think that this podcast, it'll always be sort of a given default.
That when we say, guess who's in this movie?
It will be Harrison Ford.
Harrison Ford's going to be in that movie.
But no, obviously, Rachel has a one-track mind.
I have one track mind, and it's normally about what he's packing.
Which is a resume.
Ah, funny! So funny!
I time, bring the hilarity.
Almost
things go-
honey.
Oh! See? Remember, send your puns. So you
Don't do it, please. I beg of you.
You can find us on Twitter at the Fordcast PC. You can find us on Tumblr at the Fordcast Podcast. And you can email us if you have anything to say, or and maybe we'll start reading letters if they're nice.
Or if they're mean, I'll read your hate letters. I have no shame.
We will hate shame you. And that is at the FordcastPodcast@gmail.com. You can also find Rachel at
Rachel Leishman on Twitter, and it's RACHELLEISHMAN.
Oh my god.
And my Tumblr is rachesolo.tumblr.com.
What a shocker. You can find me on Twitter at Lauren Milberger. My name is just enough characters. It's actually quite awesome. LAURENMILBERGER.
And then just tweet at her for her Tumblr thing, because your Tumblr title
I have a secret Tumblr
is
no one will know about.
insane. Oh, then don't tweet at her. She's not going to tell you.
I'm not going to tell you.
She won't tell you about her Tumblr, but mine's free game. Free game.
But I will be using our Tumblr, so that'll be like my
You
way
can come
of like,
to that
talking
Tumblr.
to people. Yeah, but I have a secret identity.
My Tumblr's free game. Just come hang out. Follow me. See the Harrison Ford posts.
She's awesome.
It's fun.
So see you next week. 2 weeks, sorry. 2 weeks.
See you in 2 weeks. Bye.
Bye.